And we are live. Okay, let's go. We're holding on. Chav Hei Amud Aleph. We're middle of the wonderful and famous sugya of Oisek b'mitzvah, Pater min ha-mitzvah. We're about to see Siyata D'Shmaya. Either today or tomorrow, we're going to have a Gemara about Pesach. How beautiful to have a Gemara about Pesach as we prepare for the holidays. But for now, let's begin. We concluded yesterday that the drasha of B'shiftecha b'veisecha uvelechtecha v'aderech teaches us B'shiftecha uvelechtecha. That cha is you. That when you're going, when you're sitting, prat, which comes to exclude, as we concluded yesterday, but it could have said b'sheves ubeleches. My b'shiftecha, we're approximately 15 lines from the bottom. The first word on line is ubeleches. It could have said b'sheves ubeleches. My b'shiftecha ubelechte. The Gemara. What it means is beleches didachu demechayvis. In your own going, that's when you're obligated in saying Shema. Ha beleches the mitzvah. But if you're going in God's going, you're doing a mitzvah, petiris, then you are pater from saying Shema. Ihachi asks the Gemara, again, about 13 lines at the bottom. The first one line is I. Ihachi afilu koines es almananami. If the heter is that you're doing a mitzvah, what's the difference if you get married to a woman who never had relations, a basula, or you get married to a woman who was previously married? Why does that factor into the heter of Shema? The whole heter is that you're doing a mitzvah. There's also a mitzvah to marry an almana. Yachi afilu koines es almana nami. Answers the Gemara, koines es abasula. When one marries a woman who's never married before, tarid, he is a tarid, he is preoccupied, his mind has a singular focus on the marriage, on the act of consummation of the marriage, and thereby he's not able to focus on anything else to the extent that he can't even say Shema. Koines almana, but if he was previously married, loy tarid, then he's not preoccupied, he knows what's going on, and therefore there is no heter. So the Gemara differentiates. Is it if he's so we're asking a good question. Rav Ari here is asking the question that why if almana and besula are focusing on her, whereas it seemingly should have to do with him, and that is a very good question. And we're going to leave it as a question. I believe it is a question that is discussed, but
also still a mitzvah. He didn't answer the question.
No. So what do we see? Very good. So what's the answer of the Gemara? The answer is that we need two ingredients, perhaps, or one. We're not sure yet. The Gemara just answered. Maybe the Gemara answered. It's all about tirda. If you're preoccupied, you're pater from mitzvahs. Asks the Gemara, do you really believe what you just said? Are you going to tell me anytime you're preoccupied, anytime that your mind is zoned in on something, you're pater from Shema? Elameata, if that is true, Elameata, then now, Tava Svina Soibayam, if your boat sank at sea, Tava, it's drowning, your boat is sinking, one is in the middle of a business that's collapsing, one is occupied at the office, Ditarid, your mind is certainly focused 100% on that. Hachanami depater, are you going to tell me that you're a pater, you're exempt from Shema? Is that really what you're suggesting? That when you marry a basula, then what? You are preoccupied. So it's all about preoccupation, asks the Gemara. So then when your boat is sinking, it should be the same thing. I would like to pause for a moment. And just see Rashi, who speaks out what we're talking about. Just brings out the extremity. I don't know if that's a word, but I use it all the time. Rashi is about 10 lines from the bottom of the page. The first line is Mishum. Mishum in Rashi, all the way down. Rashi says, I Mishum Tirda. Rashi is explaining what we just read. Hi de Parich. Rashi says, that which we're asking, Mashmalei de Tirdasai Paitartai. The Gemara seems to believe that the tirda, the preoccupation of itself, is that which exempts you. Why? Because you can't have kavanah when you're preoccupied. V'hilkach, and therefore the Gemara is asking, if it's all about preoccupation, it's all about the lack of kavanah. Afilu tavas vinasai the tarid b'tzairai, you're tired in your own personal sar li pater, you should be pater. So now the Gemara doesn't ask me svara, which maybe the Gemara could have, but the Gemara doesn't ask me svara. The Gemara asks sources. What's the source? The Gemara explains, V'chi tema, and maybe you'll answer me, maybe you will say V'chi, and maybe tema you will say Hachanami. Yeah, it's true. If your boat is sinking, God forbid, if you're in the middle of a very intense deal and you can't focus, Hachanami, maybe you are indeed pater from Shema. Asks the Gemara if that's true. But we know that Rav Abba bar Zavda has taught us Amar Rav in the name of Rav. Avel chayiv b'chol hamitzvos amuros b'Torah. And Avel, who one cannot be more preoccupied in his own personal issues than an Avel, then one Rahman al-Islam lost one of his close relatives. And yet we know what is the din, what is the status of an Avel. He's chayiv b'chol hamitzvos amuros b'Torah. And so therefore that proves it can't be that if someone's boat is sinking, he's pater, because then an Avel would be no difference. The only mitzvah that an Avel is exempt from, chutz, except for minat tefillin, an Avel is pater from tefillin. Why? Shari nemar bahen pa'er. Because it says with regard to tefillin, you have to be pa'er, which means beautiful. And an Avel, in his situation, is not beautiful. Parenthetically, we'll point out, this allowance is not for the whole of Avelus. This is only for the first day of Avelus. A big sugya, not relevant for the moment. But Lamaisa, the Gemara has just proven that you can't tell me that tsar, that tirda, that preoccupation, that lack of kavanah is a heter. Because if it was a heter, then clearly an Avel should be pater as well. So now answers the Gemara the obvious answer. What's the difference between one's boat sinking and one marrying a woman and he was never married before? Either both preoccupied. Shkoyach, answers the Gemara. Shtieble calls it the question what the Havamina was. Hacha tari tirda de mitzvah. Over here, what is your tirda? What is your preoccupation? What is your mind set on when you're getting married? The mitzvah. Consummating the marriage, which is the mitzvah. Hasam, over there, when the boat is sinking, tari tirda de rishos. That's optional. That's not something that you have to do. That's not a mitzvah. It's not obligatory. And therefore, there will be no exemption. So answers the Gemara, the source for Isaac b'mitzvah, pater min ha-mitzvah is from where? It's from yesterday. B'shiftecha v'lechtecha. It could have said b'sheves and b'leches. Why b'shiftecha, b'lechtecha? That chaf means your. Your going is when you're chayiv in Shema. When you're sitting, you're chayiv in Shema, because that's what your own personal thing is. But if you're doing God's sitting, God's walking, doing a mitzvah, then you're going to be pater. Today, so far, what we just did, and we're going to read one more line just to begin, what we just did is we discussed the difference between Bisula and Almana. And we asked if the whole heter is preoccupation, why are you not also pater if your boat is sinking? We explained the obvious difference that Akainis is a Bisula is a mitzvah that you're preoccupied. Asks the Gemara, we're not going to delve deeper, we're just going to start off what is going to be the next question. Mitzvah, pater min ha-mitzvah, 4 lines down. Is it really true? You just told me a yesod, a rule, a foundational idea in all of Yiddishkeit, really. That when you're dealing with one mitzvah, you're pater from a mitzvah. Mehacha nafka, do you learn it out from here? From b'shiftecha, from b'lechtecha? Mehasam nafka, but you learn it out from elsewhere. Titanya, as we learned in a brisa. Now this brisa is going to be quite lengthy. It's going to take us well into Amud Beis, which we're going to stop in 45 seconds. We're just going to begin the brisa. But what is the brisa proving? It's going to be another source for Isaac b'mitzvah, pater min ha-mitzvah. When you're doing a mitzvah, you are exempt. And the question thereby is, why do we need b'shiftecha v'lechtecha if we have another source? The Tanya, 3 lines to the bottom. V'hi anashim shahayu tameim l'nefesh Adam. And there were the people that were tamei l'nefesh. This is by Karban Pesach Sheni. Very good. They were tamei by Pesach Rishon, and thereby they could bring Pesach Sheni. Who are these people that were tamei and thereby couldn't bring the Pesach Rishon, the original Karban Pesach? Noisei aroinei shel Yosef al Yudivri Rav Yosef Galili. They were those who were carrying the Aron of Yosef. We're going to stop right there. Tomorrow we're going to turn into Rabbi Akiva. Chevra, just a reminder, as many people have mentioned, that the more chazara that we do during the day, those 2-3 minutes are probably the most critical ingredient to keep the bridge. As much as it's nightly, but those 2 minutes, when you dive in and you quickly read through, the next night your brain's still there, and it really allows it to build. Whereas when you're missing those 2-3 minutes, okay, you still could get it, but it's a totally different building. So, b'siyat Ishmael, and we're going to figure out a chazara plan in Mirz Hashem for over Sukkot, but we still have a bunch more over Pesach. Over Pesach, not Sukkot. Okay.